This is the Nerdy Things Podcast. This podcast contains strong language, adult themes, and poorly developed ideas. We apologize for nothing. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 55 of the Nerdy Things Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Kevin. I am joined, as always, by Jules. Hey, Jules.
Heyo.
And by Tim. What's going on, Tim?
Everything.
Tim. Okay, so last week before the show, we were talking about how Tim's wife's pregnant and like, oh, the baby might come, baby's coming soon. And I was like, holy shit, really this soon? And then we get like a text. When do we get a message?
Thursday.
I don't know. It happened Thursday night at 9:37.
Thursday night. Little hunt. We got another one. Yay.
Yeah, man. Wild ride. What a week.
Congrats.
Last Tuesday, so we mentioned on the podcast I was in the hospital, didn't say why, but last Tuesday we were in the hospital, and my wife was not technically due until the end of March, but because of various health reasons, the plan was to deliver the week of March 12th, which is 37 weeks for anybody who's listening who has any idea about how the gestation of a baby works. But due to those medical conditions, my wife was going to have to stay in the hospital until the baby was delivered, which still hoped was going to be 37 weeks. But it turned out that it was 2 days after we went in the hospital for the umpteenth time. And it also turned out that instead of just being like, all right, we're going to decide now's the right time, let's make this happen, it was like, so we're going to have to deliver the baby and we're going to do it now, and an hour from that moment, less than slightly, I had a daughter, and it was
and your world
amazing.
Was changed forever.
Yeah, that's what they say. It's crazy. It doesn't feel like that yet because our baby's still in the special care nursery doing very well, but there's like a team of nurses on call that are kind of helping us do the regular stuff, and they're telling us to rest because Kristen is recovering from surgery essentially. So when the responsibility falls on us, it's more important that she's well, and there's still a bunch of things to do here in the house, and there's also still the podcast. I mean, priorities, but it still hasn't like quite hit me yet, but I am tired and my allergies kicked in 2 days ago, and I'm going to be that guy. I'm just going to talk about myself. This is going to be an interesting podcast, but my wife's doing great. She's amazing, and our baby's doing awesome, and very much an attitude of gratitude right now, feeling very blessed.
There you go. What a fantastic thing.
All right, so that's enough about Tim. So I had an awkward moment. We're going to bring it back because William pointed it out. He was listening to the earlier episodes, and apparently we did this thing. Well, yeah, we did this thing for a couple episodes. Awkward moment of the week, and then we stopped because we weren't as awkward as nerds as we did, back in the early days. But I had an awkward moment, and I want to talk about it. And I kind of want y'all's opinions. I already got Tim's opinion on it and some answers. But so there was this person, and I'm almost certain she's not going to listen to this. And I'm sorry if you do. And you probably don't know who you are because whatever. But I forgot her name. She introduced herself to me once, and it was like a while back, and we've kind of had conversations before, like over a couple months. We've seen each other and stuff, and we've always like seen each other with friends, but she never introduces herself. So I'm waiting for that. Like I'm keeping an ear out. I'm like, is she going to say it? Is she going to say it? Nope. Okay. And I'm almost certain I know her name, but I don't fully know. And so I didn't know her name. And that's how would I get that out of somebody first off? And then the awkward moment was I did kind of ask her out, and we were going to go hang out, and then I forgot about it. So I'm just a horrible person. I think that's saying this out loud really sets it up to be Jules is a horrible person. Because
somewhere Barney Stinson is giving you a long distance high five for all of what you just did, and everybody else is judging you harshly.
Oh, God.
Awful human being.
I am, and I feel really bad because she like messaged me later on that night, and she was like, "Hey, what's up? How's it?" I was like, "Oh fuck, I forgot."
You.
Yeah. So that was my awkward moment and kind of shitty person moment, but I think we're kind of okay still. I don't know.
Yeah, what's her name? You're doing all right, aren't you?
Yeah, man. I don't know how to get that out of somebody. I mean, I didn't know Tim's name for the first month. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So we talked about it. Jules and I talked about it a little bit because I'm bad with names. So for me, it's like a built-in excuse. I just come out and say I'm terrible with names. What's your name? And just kind of like it just takes the awkwardness away. And I know you said it was too long. You missed your window, so we talked about assigning nicknames, which could be fun. But there's all these other helpful tricks, like when you first get the text message, oh, who's this? Or introducing them to a friend and say, this is George, and she goes, oh, hi, my name is.
No, that leaves you open.
This is my.
What you have to do, you have to find an outgoing friend of yours, and you have to say, "Hey, George, come over here and introduce yourself," and then let George take it. Hi, I'm George. Oh, hi, I'm Schmoopy, because Jules is going to give her a nickname, and they're going to get married with that nickname because he's never going to ask her on his own. That's how.
I'm confused as to who is Schmoopy.
Schmoopy would have to be the nickname.
Does anybody remember that from Seinfeld? He called his girlfriend Schmoopy. She called him Schmoopy. Hey, Schmoopy. Who's Schmoopy? Are they both Schmoopy?
So yeah, that was my awkward moment, and we would love to hear some of your awkward moments as nerds or as people or anything like that. You can text us or leave us a voicemail 978-786-3739. We love your voicemails, and we would love some more of them. We haven't had any in a while, and we would like some more. Don't forget, you can reach us on most social media at Nerdy Things Pod. That's Nerdy Things POD. You can send us an email at nerdythingspod@gmail.com. You can visit our website, nerdythingspod.com, for the latest nerdy news updated daily, and links to our merch for shirts and more. Links to YouTube to watch the podcast episodes because we do them in video now, and our Patreon for extra content like bloopers and early access to our stuff. We have someone in the chat with us, and that's only available to people that have our Patreon $5 status, I think, and you can be here and hear all the extra stuff, all the grade A content that we do in between the episodes and stuff like that. And you can text us or leave us a voicemail 978-78-NERDY. That's 978-786-3739. And if you haven't picked up by the episode title, we're going to be talking about the West Wing TV show, and we have a special guest on, and we're going to talk to her, and she's the quote unquote one of the biggest I was going to say Westworld because I really want Westworld to happen. West Wing West Wing fan, and it was super fun talking to her.
Season 2 of Westworld takes place in the White House. It's called West Wing World. It's just
crossover.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
More of this grade A content. That if you're a very IP, if you're the highest of P, you can be in here with us and listen.
So we have an iTunes review. We would like you to give us an iTunes review as well. We need some more new ones because I think we're running out. We only have a few more to read. So this one's by General Hannibal of Robots, and they said, "Great show, 5 stars, and in all caps, amazing." Not amazing, amazing.
I think it's
Amazon.
He said, "Great show, amazing."
All right.
General of Robots.
That's an interpretation. Mm-hmm.
It's a General Robot.
It actually just sounded like a fax machine. That's all.
Ding, ding, ding. That's a 5-star review. Very concise. I like them better when they're from robots. I'm also worried about robots taking over and killing us as humans.
I, for one, welcome our new robot overlords.
I'm indifferent. I'm going to say 95. Oh, wait, because robots are my enemy because I'm Jules the Human. That's right. Not okay. I can't.
No, you're
stay on brand.
You're the scout. We know you're here scouting for them.
There you go.
That's fine.
95 out of 100 hot tamales.
Well, you're using 100 hot tamales.
On a scale of orange to purple, I'd give that review a blue. So there we go.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a banana.
Oh, nice. All right, let's go. Nerdy news.
Nerdy news.
At 6 o'clock. All right, first up on the nerdy news, Joss Whedon out of Batgirl, called it quits, threw in the towel, was fired? No, left, maybe. Yeah, apparently he had no idea what to do with this movie. He's been just kind of sitting on it forever, even though there's literally billions of things he could do with this movie.
No, yeah, there's literally anything you can do with this, and it would probably be a little bit better than the shit that we've been seeing. But
Right.
I really liked this news when it came out because I liked the fact that he said, "I just don't know," and not a lot of people are saying that right now. Everybody's just saying like, "You're gonna give me money? Sure, I'll make that." And he had the balls enough to be like, "I just don't know what to do with it. I don't think my heart." I'm pretty sure he's going to come out and say like, "I don't think my heart was totally behind it, so I wasn't a super fan of it, and I'm just going to say no." And I'm good with that. I'm cool with that.
I mean, honestly, especially after his infidelities was last year, I don't think he was the right man for a female superhero movie.
Sure,
I think that you just need to find someone else to do it. And I know that DC just brought in someone else to sort of lead that charge, a woman to, help strengthen all of that. And I know that they've been looking at other female writers and directors to sort of helm this, one of which was sort of a surprise. It was Roxane Gay, who is a writer who tweeted out at DC and basically said, "I hate DC Comics. I can write your Batgirl movie, no prob." And one of the people from DC actually responded and was like, "If you're serious, send me an email here." And who knows what's going on behind the scenes, but that would be cool because she actually is no stranger to comics. She worked on the Black Panther spinoff World of Wakanda recently, so that would be kind of spectacular to see.
Hell yeah, I'm totally okay with
for a woman director, writer, whatever she's going to be in this, being involved and doing a show that she has an idea and a voice for. But I want to get back to the Joss Whedon thing real quick. Do you believe that Joss Whedon didn't have an idea?
No.
Joss Whedon's a fairly creative guy. Or is this just a repeat of everybody who's become involved with DC, who's going to save the day for DC and goes, "I don't think this is salvageable. I'm going to bow out. See you later. I'm going to go do something else now."
Yeah, I do kind of think it's that, especially after he got kicked in the shorts over the latest debacle that he was associated with. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a smart move on his part. I think that DC needs to just sort of stop, reevaluate. Stop. Yeah, stop.
Just
That's
stop.
it.
Just stop.
But just cut off dead limbs. Stop making product that is just not what people want. Start making stuff that is what people want and go from there. I
posted a meme on Instagram yesterday, and it was very, very not very elaborate at all, but it was the square marquee logos of each of the DC Comics movies, supplanting the heads of the Baywatch actors as they were running across the beach. And then it cuts to Black Widow, I think, and she's like, "They're coming," or something like that. It's the line from the Marvel movie. And then it's the part where the one guy falls over as they're running across the beach, and it was Batman v Superman. and then like Peter Parker, something like, "Oh, never mind," or something like that. And it was so fitting.
I mean, really, it is. It's so telling that Black Panther made more money in its opening week than all of Justice League in its entire run.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what does that tell you about the quality and the word of mouth associated with this? Because the Justice League is a movie where you have essentially 6 of DC's major turnout properties. I mean, we can argue that fact with Cyborg and Aquaman and whatever, but we have Wonder Woman on the heels of the Wonder Woman movie. We have Batman, who is, I mean, literally the biggest superhero ever made, second only probably to Spider-Man. But Superman, who everyone knows, everyone wants to be, and you've got a crap movie where you put them together and no one goes to see it. It made a little bit of money, but based on the marketing, not a heck of a lot. And then you put out Black Panther and it blows it away and is on track to be basically Marvel's highest grossing movie overall at this point.
Yeah. Over 700 million?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
At this point, every time Marvel puts out a movie, it's going to be a smash hit. It's a guarantee because of the reputation that they've built. You know, this is something we've talked about. People are just giving them the benefit of the doubt at this point. Like, I'm going to go see the Marvel movie, but the quality is also paramount. This is a culturally important movie, so it's reaching a broader audience. There's more talk about it, and that's why it's becoming so big. But you just said DC probably has the most recognizable property. Superman, everybody on the planet knows of Superman. Most people know of Batman. The thing that really started the Marvel universe was Iron Man. And I would wager to say more people know about the song than they realized it was an actual comic book before that movie came out. When you're talking not nerds, but, you know, broad level everyday regular person, they know that song. They don't know, oh, that was really a comic book, and they built an empire off it because the quality was there.
I mean, Iron Man was almost like a B-level superhero. It was one of the only properties that Marvel still owned at the time when they were making that movie. So yeah, you're 100% right, Tim. I mean, this was a B-string character that they decided to build a huge multi-billion-dollar
empire
on the back of, and it worked. I mean, we saw the recently they tweeted out a photo of the 10-year celebration with Tony Stark arms wide, just like he did in the opening of Iron Man. It's such a fitting, like, you know, full circle view of what he has accomplished when he started alone, and now there's like 60 actors that are heroes and well known in this universe. I think that's spectacular.
And that's the thing, you got an Oscar caliber actor and an Oscar caliber director in Jon Favreau. You create a quality movie, and big surprise, everybody wants to see what else you've got instead of just kind of throwing it together and seeing what happens. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, this even if you don't think that Black Panther is the best movie ever made, which you don't have to, it's a good movie. And it's a movie that even if you don't like it, you're not out there telling people not to go see it, because it's worth seeing. And that can't be said of DC's movies. You know, to have Black Panther beat Justice League twice, because it actually made as much in the second week as Justice League did in its entire run. I mean, there's no better evidence that Marvel is doing it better. It's not that Marvel is better than DC. DC has some great characters. It's that they need direction. They lack that guidance.
Yeah. They're doing it better. No question about it.
You're doing it wrong.
You're just doing it wrong.
Yeah.
How do you think they're going to do with the Fahrenheit 451 thing?
Yeah. I mean, HBO's putting that out with General Zod and Killmonger. How do you go wrong? They want to take over the world. You team them up. Boom. I'm in. You know,
let's Michael B. Jordan.
Let's burn all knowledge. Yeah, Jules is apparently ahead of me in line for a Michael B. Jordan crush. Sorry.
Oh, man. Yeah, because I saw the movie before y'all, so I'm ahead.
I saw Creed 2.5 years ago, and you guys still haven't seen it. So really,
you don't know.
You haven't seen Creed, so you don't know.
I know,
okay?
But actually, I still haven't seen Creed.
Yeah, because you guys are failing in life. But this is another example of quality. This is an HBO production. And if you saw this trailer, just for people who don't know, Fahrenheit 451, obviously one of the most iconic sci-fi novels ever written. Something that people study in high school, a really great piece of literature. And they're making a film out of it for television. It's an HBO show, but we know that HBO has...
HBO Now.
Yeah, well, they've got a big thing, you know, with big productions, with the Dragon Show, whatever the hell that's called.
The Dragon Show.
That's
the
Dragon. Hey guys, welcome back to the
My mind
Dragon
doesn't work
Show
today. But yeah, you know, the Dragon Show, they do special effects, they do the whole thing. So if you see this trailer, you think
it looks great.
This would be like a feature film. It's got that look, got that polish, and you've got, again, Michael Shannon, who's a hot commodity right now, and Michael B. Jordan, one of the biggest things going. So they've got big time actors playing in this movie. It could be tremendous. Like, I'm super excited about this.
On a Michael B. Jordan side tangent, I saw him on Hot Ones. Do y'all watch Hot Ones on YouTube? I freaking love Hot Ones. Hot Ones is where it's like a 20
the wing.
Yeah, like a 20-minute interview, and they're talking, and then they eat wings that are incrementally hotter, and they have their own hot sauce that's like over 1 million on the Scoville units or whatever. I mean, I ate 350,000 Scoville on my YouTube video that one time, but a million? Hell no, that's too ridiculous. But I saw him on that, and he is super elegant and eloquent in his interview skills, and that was just super fun to watch. But I really enjoy him as an actor now, and I'm definitely on it. I thought it was because
what I loved about this trailer is they updated it. They were not just like, oh, we're gonna burn books. They were like, we're gonna burn the internet. We're gonna burn everything. And it's just, I hate when you have adaptations of classic books like this where they seem to ignore the progress of technology. And I think that this is just from this trailer. I have high hopes that they're going to use this to supplant the same tropes into a really fantastic, cohesive, real world, slightly future scenario. And
Fahrenheit 451 was about the future, but it was about the future of that time. It was really more about the story and what that story represented. It was about the topics. It wasn't so much about the actual events. You know what I mean? So
but I think a lot of times
same concepts
get caught up on that,
Oh, agree 100%. So this I think is perfect for translation. And is this the best pairing of Michaels ever?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Think about two Michaels that have ever been paired together to top this. Can't think of it.
No.
Lauren Michaels and Michael Jordan.
Oh,
but they didn't work together.
Molly
Jordan never hosts SNL. No. But yeah, this is definitely super translatable, and I was sort of kind of was gonna disagree with you, but no, not really. You were saying a little different, but I think like the book definitely wouldn't work if you try to translate it into now, because technology and stuff, and they knew it wouldn't work because of that, so they definitely kept it the way similar to the way it was. But this one is definitely super adaptable, and they kind of knew that, and I'm definitely here for it. Something that really kind of pissed me off this week.
Jules, what is it? Tell us, buddy. How are you?
James Gunn on Twitter says, and he said this a few times, but nobody ever caught it or never really made a big stink, but that the new Groot is the son of Groot, not a reincarnation of Groot.
The son of Groot. What a movie.
What?
Son of a Groot.
But that he has different he doesn't have the same memories or something like that, and he doesn't have the same personality because it's a whole different person.
It makes sense.
It does. No, it makes sense.
I buy it.
There wouldn't be enough room in that little clipping to contain all of Groot's memories. So I get it. I'm fine with it. I think it's awesome to see him go through this teenage phase, and I can't wait to see it.
No, that's totally cool, but like, just call it a reincarnation. He's saying it's a son of Groot. I think it's just weird to say he's my son.
But plants spawn in that way, right? They give off seeds. The seeds then grow, and it becomes a different plant and a child.
Would you call this? Okay, I guess. Yeah, I was gonna say, would you call this? This is my son, or this is that plant's son? Because I used that seed. Really? Is that proper terminology?
I have a family of trees. Exactly. And I grew these family of trees from the father tree and the mother tree. And
we're going to go over this later, Jules. It's all sexual reproduction. It's wonderful. There's birds and bees. It's
who knew we were going to have the talk with Jules?
I'm sorry. I didn't know. I guess I don't.
How young?
I guess I don't have that green thumb. But
he is asking without knowing their name. So
yeah, true.
I mean,
that's true.
Courtney just put a tweet from Brent Raptor remakes Space Jam, but instead of Michael Jordan, it's Michael B. Jordan, and instead of Looney Tunes, it's anime. And I'm totally cool with that because Michael B. Jordan loves anime, and he's a great person for that. But I guess the family of but still, that's super weird, and everybody was going off about it. I don't know.
They are Groot.
They are
Groot.
It's all the explanation you need for it. Really, done.
Okay. We are the Groot.
Yep.
We are the children.
Jesus.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but that was a huge thing on Twitter. Going on
the internet. Yeah, the whole.
Give us your thoughts at Nerdy Things Pod on Twitter. At Jules Human. Please tell me that I'm not stupid. Please, I need validation.
No, you know what else isn't stupid? The Wreck-It Ralph trailer teaser that came out.
Yeah.
Ralph breaks the internet. Oh my God. That thing looks amazing.
I was literally laughing
I'm
out
so
loud.
excited about that's going to be great. Yeah, no, that was laughter, tears. I love John C. Reilly.
So much.
God, he is the best.
It just looks super fun. Like it does, you know, what sequels I think should do. It takes your characters and then brings them to like a different light. It has some of the stuff that you really liked about, you know, the movie, the show, or whatever. It does sometimes get lost whenever you're trying to adapt to another story or a new season of a TV show. But this is more of the characters that we like in a different situation, handling something totally different. And, you know, it's going to be fun. And the art style looks beautiful.
Yes. Sequels, I think, in children's animation tend to work better than in adult movies because you don't have the same expectations. You're not thinking about continuity. You're not, you know, kind of diving deep into that kind of stuff. You're just thinking, I like Ralph. I like John C. Reilly. I like Vanellope. I like Sarah Silverman. I want to see this. Yes. I mean, that's pretty much what we want out of this. And it's probably going to deliver exactly that. And the whole concept of taking these old school arcade characters and bringing them out into the future of the internet and playing along with the things that we encounter on the internet that are humorous. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I mean, this looked like a watchable emoji movie, so I can get behind that. And it's coming out Thanksgiving, so I always go to the movies on Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I was literally laughing when she was playing the iPad game, and then Little Bunny, and like, oh my god, it's gonna be great.
Baby Moana in the back seat there, getting traumatized for life because her bunny rabbit exploded on the screen.
That scream was priceless because you didn't I didn't expect it to go there. I expected something to happen to her of a reaction, but for off screen the bunny to blow up and her to be traumatized before our eyes, that's the side of that interaction that I want to see. It was really funny. And the pop-up ads that they encounter. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, these 10 celebrity children.
It was like being at a all-inclusive resort and walking through the gauntlet of people who want to sell you excursions and timeshares. It was pretty great.
Yeah, it was like reading news on the upcoming Fox Marvel movies. It's like, oh, we're going to do Silver Surfer. We're going to do the 30 X-Men movies in the next 2 weeks, and we're going to do... it's too much. Like DC. They just need to tap the brakes, figure out what works.
Yeah, can we let the X-Men like chill out for a little while? Everybody just seems to be super... Why? Because there's too many things going on with the X-Men. Everybody wants a piece of them.
They jumped the gun on all of the stories. Why did DC adapt the death of Superman in the first or second time we ever saw Superman? Why is Fox trying to do like a Silver Surfer and a New Mutants and Deadpool 2 and the X-Force and all of these other Black and Silver, which has been put on hold because who knows why? They don't know what they're doing, and they're trying to do it all, and they're not doing anything well. I think a Silver Surfer movie could be great. I think they're going to fuck it up. I don't think they should do it.
Here's the thing. I look at this in a couple different ways. One, we always get on these companies about jumping the gun and saying we're going to start a franchise out of something that hasn't started yet.
Right.
None of this has been talked about in the realm of a universe. Fine. They just said we're making these movies. They haven't implied that they're going to be interconnected. And let's face it, they've made the Deadpool movies, put X-Men characters in there, and didn't exactly try and tie them together for us.
But that was
I'm kind of okay with that.
That was the best of all of them. But the other side of that is you have the X-Men movies where we have characters that have crossed over between all of them, and you have Logan and you have this. So it's the Deadpool is separate. If Silver Surfer is separate, which I can't imagine it wouldn't be, then that's fine, but make it good. Don't just give me a Silver Surfer movie.
That brings me to the second part of my thing. I'm assuming at this point that this is not some intricately woven universe like we've been introduced to from Marvel and from DC. The second part of this is that this is no longer Fox, so to speak, making these movies. Disney oversees Fox. It may involve a lot of the same players but Disney's now overseeing this thing. And let's face it, more often than not, the stuff that Disney puts out is pretty darn good.
Mhm.
So I have to give them the benefit of the doubt at this point to see how that works before I can go, oh, don't make a Silver Surfer movie, because maybe we'll get, maybe we won't, maybe you're 100% right, Kevin, but also maybe we'll get a tremendous Silver Surfer movie and we're like, oh, great, now we want Fox to put out more stuff because Disney is overseeing this deal.
But here's the problem. That deal hasn't gone through yet. That deal is in the works.
Right.
But Comcast has made a competing bid. Fox is just trying to announce as much as they can to make
To increase the valuation.
Valuable.
Mhm.
That's all.
Sure.
That's all it
I
is.
get that.
But at the same time, like, I really want a Silver Surfer movie. I do, but I want a good one. I want one where there's consequence and where there's, you know, a guy who gives himself up to save his planet, and Galactus who really doesn't give a shit about that. And I want that. But I don't think that Fox owns Galactus anymore. I think Marvel has that back because they have the Fantastic Four. It's a weird
But that's
thing.
Disney.
Yeah, oh my God.
And let's not pretend like Comcast is going to come out and beat out Disney. When Disney decides they want something, they get it. They bought Star Wars
I
from
know.
George
They bought
Lucas,
the Star Wars.
They got it.
from the man who created it, and went on to make a gazillion dollars off of $1 billion. So if they want Fox, they're getting Fox. So by the time any of this goes into production, if they've already got the wheels turning, Disney will be overseeing this stuff. And I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt at this point, because more often than not, I'd say vastly more often than not, Disney releases good stuff. For every Pirates of the Caribbean, there's probably 8 other examples of very good movies to come out of Disney's workshop there. So
Sure.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, something else that looks like it's upcoming that's going to be pretty good is the Ghostbusters World AR mobile game. Do you guys see the trailer for that?
Oh,
That-
man.
I don't understand why this took so long. I'm sure it was, you know, properties and everything, but
Mm-hmm.
this should have come out 2 years ago.
sure.
This, I think, would have helped make the Ghostbusters movie better, but it only makes sense. Like, this is just a reskinned Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
How do you say no to this, though? It's the Ghostbusters.
So here's why this probably took so long. Pokemon Go was great, but it's kind of a half-baked idea. We have phones being released now, like this iPhone 10 that I'm holding, that its guts were literally built from the ground up with AR in mind. So most of the new phones are coming out now that are optimized specifically to enhance AR applications, AR games. So now I think we're going to see an onslaught of those things, and they're going to be done on a better level than what we saw before, which is what makes me super excited about this game.
But I still think that Pokemon Go was really good when it came out.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
there
was
wasn't.
fine, sure.
Yeah, you said it was a half-baked idea. I don't know if it
Well,
was. I think for the time it was
but
pretty
it
good.
was.
No,
It
no,
was
but that's my
good.
yes.
But it should have been better. Pokemon Go, we're going to get off on a little tangent here. Pokemon Go had nowhere to go. It
Sure.
was all it was collecting. You weren't making them better. You weren't training them. You weren't collecting them. You weren't really evolving them. It was just collecting.
Amassing these bigger
Yeah.
ones, getting
And
more
who
CPU.
cared? So I have 300 Pidgeys. What do I do then? And most people don't travel enough to be able to collect all of them because not all of them spawn everywhere.
No.
So, I'm sorry.
to-
It's something with a finite attention span.
Sure. To be fair,
But we
there's
talked
a
about
couple.
this. Yeah, we talked about this with Apple, where sometimes you need something that's as good as it can be, but not what it should be yet,
Right.
to deliver the things that are what they should be. So a game like Pokemon Go needs to come out so this, I'm assuming, spectacular, let's hope, Ghostbusters AR game can then exist. And
Sure,
also,
that one and the Harry Potter one.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what I say. I think we're going to get into, now that the technology is optimized, now we're going to get into this golden age, I think, of AR gaming, which could be a lot of fun, very interactive. Also, Pokemon Go was Nintendo bought Niantic, if I'm saying that right, because they
Niantic.
wanted
Niantic?
yeah, they wanted to start getting into mobile games, and they had a platform for a game that they could plug and play. They wanted to get an app out ASAP to then
Yep.
launch Super Mario Run and the 2 others that are coming out. What are they? Animal Crossing and the 2 others that are coming out later this year. So again, on multiple levels, Pokemon Go was a beta to
Yeah,
just get things going in that direction.
That's right. That was a reskin of whatever Niantic did before that. I forget what it was.
Yeah.
And yeah, to be fair, there are still a lot of people playing Pokemon Go, and I know some of them, and they're probably a few of my friends, but there is super easy ways to just cheat the global system on the internet to where you can just put yourself wherever and get those Pokemon. And now the community is sort of divided on people that play the game for real or actually cheat to get the Pokemon. So it's like, it's a little weird. People are still playing it, and they're still coming out with new Pokemon and new places and stuff like that. But yeah, I definitely see what you're saying, where this is a big stepping stone into what's coming next with AR and, VR, hopefully coming to everybody.
I'm not admitting anything, but my account on Pokemon thinks that I'm in Santa Monica right now.
Oh.
That's all. So,
I'm in Japan last I left off, I think.
See, exactly.
That's where all the Pokemon are. Okay.
Other news this week: Kevin Smith had a heart attack.
Holy crap!
Yeah, tweeted a photo from the hospital bed just after midnight on Monday because he had a heart attack and was trying to tell people he was okay. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I hope he's fine. This is not someone that I have always felt that I liked, but as I said to Tim earlier this week, I think most of my animosity towards Kevin Smith is self-inflicted. I think it's me, not him. So,
listen, Kevin Smith is every art house guy's hero. It's the guy that took $10,000, as a borderline college project and made a movie that won awards and spawned a universe. Kind of. I mean, if you think about it, he built really this New Jersey universe and a comic store and TV shows and was given the opportunity to direct movies and TV shows that he never would have before. He's us, living out what we want to do. And he's just that nerd. And I've always loved Kevin Smith for it, but I've always loved Kevin Smith for his honesty too. Guy loves to tell stories. Great storyteller, and he tells inside stories of Hollywood, and he uses names or kind of hints at names and just tells things, and he always gives his honest reaction about his personal life too. And this was the most Kevin Smith thing ever, to have a heart attack that apparently should have killed him, and then to record or take a picture and write a big long post from the damn hospital bed like that night or the next morning. It's the most Kevin Smith thing to ever do.
It really is. And picture is fantastic. He's just wide-eyed and staring at the camera.
Just definitely his token kind of look, and then he's just there in the hospital gown and stuff like that. But
do you believe that shit?
But yeah, on all his social media, he wrote sort of the same thing, and he detailed what actually happened. A big long post about, how he's sort of thinking about life and things like that. And I really do hope he gets better, and he does make those necessary changes to keep on living for as long as he can, because I think that's all of our goals, to keep going.
Not everybody's going to agree with a guy like Kevin Smith all the time. He's got his own outlook on life, and that's for everybody to have. But you can't deny that he's a good family man. Met his wife, super grateful for his wife, loves his daughter to death, posts about them all the time, and I just hope he's back there, out there giving it to LaFours as soon as possible. Just taking that bag of socks and getting LaFours off the head as soon as you can, Mr. Kevin Smith. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. He, I'm pretty sure he has a Frasier rewatch podcast too that he does.
He has some podcasts, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, he's got a bunch.
Wait, what?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Why am I not listening to it?
I don't know.
Wait, what?
The other day, and I saw Kevin Smith attached to something.
How do I not know?
Kevin Smith is.
That's why I wanted to mention it to you, Tim.
Kevin Smith is one of the godfathers of podcasts. I mean, that guy built a podcasting studio before podcasting was a thing, and people would come in and watch him do his thing. Because, like I said, really what he is, and I think why he's so successful, even outside of films, doing these tours and things, he's just honest. He just loves to weave stories, and he does it off the spot better than. I love stand-up comedy. Jerry Seinfeld's one of my favorite stand-up comics of all time. Jerry's stuff is very structured. There's a joke. There's a structure to the joke. Here's the setup. Here's the story. Here's the punchline. Cosby, whatever, is my favorite stand-up comedian of all time, because Cosby just sat up there and told stories. And he could tell the same story multiple times, but every time it was a little different. It was all kind of off the cuff, 15 minutes long. I've never seen anybody as close to Cosby at doing that than Kevin Smith is. He can have someone come into his audience and he does Q&A. They'll ask him a question. He'll riff for 15, 20 minutes. It's hilarious the whole time. And it's a story that you're glad you've heard at the end. And I love the guy. But now I got a Frasier. How is this?
Shout out to Jordan the barber, because he's my barber and I love him. And this is going to connect because no matter what I say, he goes off on a rant like that, like Tim's saying. Like I could say literally 2 sentences, and for the next 15 minutes, he just talks about his experience, his story, or some other kind of thing. And I generally get anxiety with like people touching me, and I really, hate when I get a haircut. But Jordan, ever since I got him, he tells fantastic stories, fantastically long stories like that. So
that's awesome.
I definitely get that.
Well, while Tim's looking that
up, while Tim's just there in the Frasier,
can't kill like Kevin Smith.
It's real.
Disney Muppets. I wouldn't lie to you, Tim.
It's called Talk Salad and Scrambled Eggs. What a name! Oh my goodness!
Now we're going to cut to the next 15 minutes of the podcast. All right,
this is amazing. Wow, we had talked about doing a Frasier podcast. Can't now.
Man.
Can't top Kevin Smith talking about a sitcom.
Let's just take his audio and then have us replying to whatever he's saying. We'll be like, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow, this is going to take up the next little bit of my life. When I'm I'm going to have these earbuds in, which I'm still wearing, by the way, while I'm holding the baby,
3 weeks,
listening to Kevin Smith talk about Frasier, and this just sounds like an ideal world to me.
So you know what show we could do a podcast on? The Muppets.
Yay, the Muppets.
Disney is planning a Muppets reboot for its streaming service. That's one of the shows that's going to be launching with it or shortly after. So I think we can do that. I'm in.
So what did I say about this when I first messaged you guys about this, or when we first talked about it? If Jason Segel is not writing, directing, starring, doing whatever he can, I want to punch whoever is involved in the face.
Or at least he has to pass on it, because if he doesn't want to do it, don't force him. It's not
right.
like,
of course,
some ancient Egyptian curse, but
right. Yeah. But if I find out that he wasn't offered the job in whatever capacity he wanted,
right,
someone's getting punched in the face.
Oh, golly.
Definitely, bringing the Muppets there to their streaming service is going to be a definitely huge boost, and I think it's going to get people going. And if that's the kind of stuff that they're going to bring, then I don't know. May have to go.
And I like this concept because I didn't watch much of the Muppets TV show that they did most recently, but the idea was to make an adult Muppet show. The cool thing about the Muppets is it was always a kids show that appealed to adults.
Right.
It was a kids show, but they usually had famous adult guests on. There was funny stuff that was over the heads of kids that adults could sit there and enjoy. So you don't need to make an adult Muppets. You just need to make an authentic Muppets show, and adults are going to enjoy it. So I'm glad that they're going back to those roots.
Sure.
And getting Jason Segel involved. So that'll be
Which
fun.
is unconfirmed. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. There you go.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, we'll link to that, to this section. We'll make a video about it whenever they do announce that he's doing stuff with it. But in the gaming news, there is some stuff. They're freaking Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is getting remastered, which is actually one of the best Call of Duty ones, which is super awesome. And I'm glad they are, because this new one is okay, but it came out at the wrong time because everybody's playing PUBG and Fortnite and other things like that. But, I think people were tired of that, tired of the massive multiplayer sort of thing in that way, not a battle, what are they called? Battle Royale style. Yep. This is definitely the time for that. And, of course, League of Legends and those games that keep on running. And everybody has their own niche of gaming, but definitely what's taking over right now is PUBG, Fortnite, and things like that. And I think this is what might bring Call of Duty back.
Are you playing COD? Dude, are you playing COD?
No.
Bro, do you play COD? You want to play COD?
This is actually one of the really good ones, yeah.
Sure.
Another game that's going pretty strong is Overwatch. Overwatch just announced a new character. that is another female character. I think it's the 27th edition of the game, and her name is Bridget, and I may be butchering that. But she is, one of several female characters that they've introduced recently.
Sure, and that's another one that's outside the the realms of what COD is, and it's still like a super fun multiplayer game. But this is different, and not a lot of people want that. I don't know, that gritty action sort of thing with COD anymore. I think people are done. As of right now, people are sort of getting off that hype train and getting to the PUBG sort of thing, and even Fortnite. Fortnite's getting bigger because of how it is a PUBG port, and it's totally stylized different, and people are gravitating to that one more because I think the art style looks really nice, and the art style of Overwatch is really pretty too. And I think people are done with the gritty sort of
Well, I think the thing with Fortnite is you can also build, and I think that attracts
the
people.
building. Yeah, that's definitely a huge addition.
Because in PUBG, it's just the structures are there. Everybody knows them that's been playing it. You know where to go, where to hide, where to whatever. And the map closes in on you. But with Fortnite, you can build a sniper tower in the middle of the map where there wasn't one before, and you can, get up there and hide. So there's more to it with that.
In Overwatch, you can do a lot more than just run and gun. It's super interesting to watch that. So maybe it is that people are just, with this new COD that just came out, it's like, we're taking it back. We're taking it back to the real nitty gritty. We're going back to the World War, and we're going to have these bolt action rifles, and it's going to be super fun. And it's like, no, we want something a little different. This, you went super far into the future, and that was okay, but bringing it back, I don't know. But this one was actually super fun. I really liked what they were doing with Modern Warfare and stuff, and the Overwatch character and super stuff. Not too many other gaming stuff, I don't think.
Well, there was also the Metal Gear Survive recently announced that an extra character save slot is going to cost you about $10 because you have to buy it with in-game coins, and you can only get them by purchasing, or you can get a limited amount through a special event. But it's going to be $9.99 for you to save a second character in the game.
Sure. Metal Gear Survive was a pretty interesting one that I don't know if we touched on a whole lot, but it's going to be in the same sort of realm of Metal Gear, but it's going to be different characters, and it's not going to be you as Snake or Solid Snake or anything. It's going to be just you surviving against these sort of zombies, and I watched gameplay on it and stuff like that. But them having that really turns me off on something that I wasn't really turned on to begin with. You know what I mean? It's in the same world as Metal Gear and some other characters, but it's like, okay, I kind of like the characters that we were playing as, and that's pretty much the main draw in Metal Gear anyways, is the story and storyline. And for them to make like a zombie thing out of that and using the same engine is just going to be like, whatever. So them doing that money, whatever. And why don't we talk about something that's not gaming that is going to cost some money? That new social media app, Vero, that a lot of people are jumping onto. And we would like your opinions on this new app and this new social media platform. If you have it, or if you're in it, or if you don't like it. If you like it, go ahead and tweet us at NerdyThingsPod, or find us on Instagram and all that at NerdyThingsPod. But the first million users are having it for free. And after that, people are going to start getting charged a small, quote unquote, fee to use the social media platform. I don't know if it's monthly or yearly. I think they said yearly, but you're going to have to pay a fee after the first million people that are subscribed.
Yeah, so
that's to get rid of ads and all that stuff.
People will ever use this.
Yeah, it's basically like a cleaned up Tumblr. It's going to be a little different, and a lot of people are having problems with the server and are getting started, and there's a lot of problems with it.
Let me.
Yeah, me too. And I was just like, oh, okay. And it's the #1 app out right now. But would that be sustainable? I mean, paying money for this new character slot, paying money to be on a social media, like,
it's the world we live in now. I mean, really, that's exactly what games are.
You do pay for add-ons and stuff. I mean, you do pay for like DLC, which is something that we've kind of just okay and agreed with over time, but I think stuff like this is going to take some more time because we just got okay with paying for DLC and things like that. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. Send us your thoughts on Vero. We're still not sure about it, and I'm not too sure if I want to be on it.
No, let us know. So before we get into the main topic, we get a couple of birthdays this week. March 1st, we get Jensen Ackles and Ron Howard. Jensen
Dun dun da 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 dun dun da 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 dun da da da.
Okay.
Wow. March 1st, Adam Conover, Daniel Craig, and Rebel Wilson. I know Jules.
Rebel!
Right?
No, Adam Conover's cool. Not Rebel.
March 5th,
Shout out to William on doing that thing on Twitter where you posted something that involved Rebel Wilson, and I just yelled out Rebel, and then he came back with the meme of Wilson with Tom Hanks. It was pretty fun. Nice job, William.
And I said I hate both of you.
You did, but you lied.
March 6th, we get Shaquille O'Neal.
Did you miss Penn Jillette? March 5th, Penn Jillette.
I said Penn Jillette. You talked over me. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
March 5th, Penn Jillette. But yeah, no, super cool birthdays.
My name is Shaq. Thank you for my birthday.
Now it's
Did
time.
You know he's a DJ?
Wait, Penn?
Shaq. No.
Shaq is
Bryan Cranston. Shaq and Bryan Cranston. They should be a thing. New music duo. No. But Shaq's a DJ. Yeah.
He was a rapper at one time. He does whatever he wants. He's Shaq. He's 7 foot freaking 2, 350 pounds. He comes up to you and he says, "Dude, I want to do this," and they go, "Okay."
No, that's not him. Yeah.
Penn Jillette's super tall too. But anyways.
Yeah. Okay. It's great. So, main topic. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the main topic. We have a special guest this week. It is Claire Handscombe, who is, she's one of the biggest fans of the show West Wing from '99. And she is here to talk to us about that and about fandom and about a bunch of other stuff. Hello, Claire. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm well. So with us is Jules and Tim.
Yeah.
We have at least familiarized ourselves with the premise of West Wing. And we are here to talk about you. It's such a long show. It's 7 seasons with 20-something episodes per season. None of the three of us had ever really watched this show. So this was quite an experience, actually.
Yeah, I bet.
For sure. I definitely wanted to get...
For the record, real quick, the biggest fan of the West Wing, I believe, is how she categorizes herself. Not what Kevin said, one of. I believe you say the biggest.
The biggest? You know what? I'd believe it.
The Washington Post called me that. I did not write that headline. I want that to be clear because otherwise I'm going to get lynched by various other West Wing fans. So yes, one of is fine.
Sure. So I definitely want to get into before West Wing. Is there like a BWW before West Wing about you? Like, because this seems like from everything we've been reading and all the stuff that you've written about it, we'll get into all that stuff, but definitely this seems like something very monumental in your life, and I'm sure a lot of people can say a certain fandom or a certain something was sort of like that for them, individually, each personally. But what was kind of you before you encountering West Wing? And I don't know, why don't you tell your story, how you grew up or where you grew up from, because I think that's pretty interesting as well.
Sure. Wow. Life story. Okay. There's
in like 2 minutes. There you go. I gave you 2 minutes. No, just
you're definitely right that it sounds crazy to say that about a TV show, although maybe not on this podcast, because I feel like your listeners probably understand it more than people out there in the wild. But there's definitely a before West Wing and after West Wing separation in my life. I grew up partly in Belgium and partly in the UK. I read a lot as a kid, and then in my 20s or my teens and 20s, I read less, and I also stopped writing for various reasons. And I'm doing a very whistle-stop tour here. And then in my 20s, I was living in London. I was teaching languages to adults privately, and I didn't then and still don't watch that much TV.
Around what year was that, though?
So this was 2008.
Oh, okay.
2008. something between 2006 and 2008. And so the West Wing was either just finishing or had just finished, at least in the US. I think it was probably still on its last legs in the UK, because back then at least we got everything later. And yeah, I was living in London. I wasn't watching a lot of TV. Friends was my sort of go-to, I need to feel better about life, I'm going to watch 20 minutes of this show, which it still kind of is. And yeah, my friends were like, oh, we know this American show, I think you'd really like it. Actually, Studio 60 had started and somebody tried to plug that to me. They were like, oh, it's by the same guy who wrote The West Wing. And I'm like, well, okay, I haven't watched The West Wing either, so whatever. But yeah, and so then one night I was using my roommate's laptop to watch Friends, because back in those days you had DVD players in laptops, and so I popped it open to put my DVD in it.
Before Jules was born, so.
And yeah, when I popped it open, a West Wing DVD was in there. She'd left it in there, and so I was like, fine, everyone keeps telling me to watch this thing, whatever, I'll give it a go. And yeah, it was season 2, episode 5, and it was an amazing episode, and I was instantly in love. So yeah.
Wow, and you remember the
Important
episode.
question, though.
Yes.
Did you ever end up watching Studio 60? The one
I
season
did,
of Studio
yes.
60? Such a good show!
Oh,
Okay,
God.
good. I was worried you were going to say it wasn't.
Oh, it was so good.
I
That
loved
was
it.
one of
yeah.
like my devastating. I got so involved in this show.
Yeah.
I was like, this is great. I love Whitford. I love Matthew Perry.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is great, the whole thing. And then boom, we're not going to
Yeah.
renew it for reasons unknown. But anyways, go back.
Yes, thankfully I already knew that when I started. I knew it was one season. So I think if you're prepared emotionally, it's okay. But yeah, I love that show. But
So there was going back to like something you said a little bit a while ago, but there was like a distinction of this is an American show, and did that like entice you more? Obviously it didn't, because you were just like, oh, I'll check it out now. But like as an American show, is that, because we don't know, we're 3 American boys here, and we don't know how it's viewed over there. But like, you know, you said you were watching Friends, and then this is like, oh, it's another American show. Was it seen a little bit differently? Was it seen as lesser content or like better content? I don't know. I'm just curious for me.
well, one of the reasons that I wasn't interested was that it was American politics, and I didn't know or understand anything about American politics. It's so different from British politics, which I've always been quite into politics in the UK, but it's a very different thing. Like, I didn't even quite remember which party was which. That's how bad my knowledge of American politics was. And also, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this on your podcast, so feel free to edit it out, but this was in the Bush years, and America did not have the world's best reputation in the UK during the Bush years.
Unlike now.
No.
Oh, yeah, no.
Unlike
absolutely.
now when it's totally fine. Yes.
Yes.
And so again, the idea of American politics during that era was like, this doesn't sound like something I'd want to watch. Friends was really my entire knowledge of American culture was Friends. Like everything I know about America, I knew about America up to that point. You know, I knew that Christmas decorations go up the day after Thanksgiving, things like that, because Friends taught me that. But
nice.
Apartments in New York City are very affordable. So.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
You can just swap apartments. You have friends living nearby. Yeah, that's exactly.
You never go to work. You just sit around having coffee.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the American culture in a minute right there.
Yeah.
But as far as like clothes and, you know, pop culture sort of, I think Friends really did capture that. And that's pretty cool. I you know, a lot of people do sort of, you know, figure things out with the shows that they watch or discover something, and you discovered American politics. And so you're really into politics, and what kind of things really entice you about that subject? Why are you interested in it, and what, you know, just politics in general? Because I know, you know, not a lot of people are going to get into the West Wing, and that's okay. And not a lot of people are going to get into Doctor Who or Star Wars or anything like that. That's not a big deal. But like, this is your jam. And like, why is this your jam?
I want to address part of that question before I go back to the main question. The thing about the West Wing that I think people need to bear in mind, even if they're not into politics, is that obviously it's set in the White House, and obviously a lot of the storylines are political, but in the same way that you might not watch ER for the like surgery and the blood, like you watch it for the relationships and the characters and things like that. And so it's the same idea. Sorry, ER is also a very dated reference. I'm like, so what? But so it's the same idea that even though I didn't know or understand anything about politics, I could still know and understand the relationship dynamics. That said, I am, as you said, very interested in politics. I think I'm a very idealistic person, and actually the West Wing taps into that idealistic side of politics. And that definitely, I think, is probably one of the reasons I'm interested in politics, is this idea of, you know, it sounds so cheesy to say it out loud, but whatever, you know, we can make a better world and we can help people make better versions of themselves. And also I'm a Christian, and my faith also speaks to that, to like helping the poor get out of their poverty, and like making sure everybody has, you know, a life that has dignity and things like that. And that's all part of my value system, so it's part of my politics as well, if that makes sense.
But that's how that change happens, is people think it can happen and people make it happen.
Yes. Yeah.
So absolutely.
Like what we're seeing with those kids in Florida right now.
Yeah.
They've made impact just by living out their truth in a very authentic way. And I think that speaks to people, and that's a real life example. But, you know, like your point in the West Wing and on TV shows, it's not necessarily about the inner workings of the politics. It's about, you know, do these people, you know, ring true to you, to carry some of the values and things that you share in your own life. So that's, you know, that's cool. That's a great observation on what politics should be to all of us, hopefully, you know.
Sure. Let's get into a little bit of, you know, actual like West Wing talk, I guess. You talked about the relationships between the people, and I know you, from reading about you and things like that, that you really do like some of the relationships there. And why don't you go into detail in some of that kind of, you know, aspect, because it is about the characters. I mean,
yes, it is.
Some of the stuff I don't really like, you know, premises. Like you said, ER, you don't really watch it for all the stuff, but it's like, I like this character, or, you know, you continue to watch something because of the characters only. And it's like, oh man, this guy has a shitty storyline for this season. And it's like, I'm still going to kind of watch it because of this storyline. I mean, what are some of your favorite, I guess, themes or relationships in the West Wing, coming from the Washington Post's biggest West Wing fans?
Yeah, I'm a little terrified of what you found online, and whether
you can find. Please find me. You can find me anywhere online. Jesus.
Yeah, we're open as well. Don't worry.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's no secret to anyone who's Googled me that my favorite character is Josh Lyman, who's played by Bradley Whitford.
What? No. I had no idea.
Followed by, and in conjunction with Donna Moss, who's played by Janelle Maloney. I love their rapport and their will they, won't they. The best thing, the friend whose DVD I watched told me that nothing ever happened between them. Now, she had only actually watched up to like season 2.
Yeah.
But that was actually a really great, like, unwitting favor she did for me, because I was like, I'm just enjoying this tension and nothing's ever going to happen, and that's fine. I'm just enjoying the tension. And then I don't know how spoilery you want me to be, but obviously in the end something does happen, but in the end, like, it takes a long time. But yeah, so I just loved that tension and that flirting. There was actually just an article yesterday in the Washington Post about how their relationship was not appropriate. However, I have not read the article. I don't plan to read the article. I don't plan to ever link to the article. So I don't know what it said, but I can take a guess. But
sure.
You know, I think because I had in mind they're never getting together, this is as close to getting together as they can get. It just made it all kind of more interesting, and I suppose in some ways more acceptable, although I wasn't thinking in those terms and I still wouldn't. It's like, yeah, anyway, I could talk about that for a long time.
Sure, yeah. No, and I mean, it was a different time, and it was writing for a different time. I mean, we can even,
I think that's very important to remember.
Yeah, we can even say stuff from Friends. I mean, they've gone back and said like, oh, that's a little problematic. Oh my God.
Definitely.
In like the 90s too. And it's like, that was just, it was not whatever. I don't want to get into it, but
go back and read novels from 100 years ago, 200 years ago. I mean, things are written for their time. You have to take that into consideration.
Yeah.
But so obviously there's aspects of the show that you enjoy. We talk about the characters. You mentioned a lot in some interviews or some things that you've written about the writing. But let's we get a little before West Wing. So you moved to the U.S. inspired by this show. Is that okay? So I mean, that's a huge thing. Like, I proposed to my wife on the Hogwarts Express, but we didn't move to
Hogwarts
the medical world of
you
down there.
Hogwarts.
You know what I mean? Sorry,
it's more difficult.
My brain's a little addled today. I had a baby, so having a hard time coming up with words. But so you moved to the U.S. because of a show. So I have to know, like, what is it? Speak about this show that impacted you personally that significantly. How did it see you in that way?
Well, I mean, Doctor Who, I have a Harry Potter tattoo and a Doctor Who tattoo, and that impacted me.
This is not I know what you mean. This is not a judgy question. I just want to know.
So, yeah, I think, so the West Wing did several things for me. It reawakened my political kind of zeal that I'd let go dormant for a while, but one of the most important things it did for me is it showed me, you were just talking about the writing, it showed me the power of the English language. And so I got back into reading and writing. I started with fan fiction, let's be honest, and then I started writing an actual novel, and somehow writing and the West Wing and DC was all kind of like mixed up in my brain because that was the inspiration. And so the novel that I wrote was also DC based. And I came to visit DC, New York and then DC in 2009, I think, for the first time because of the show. And I fell in love with DC as a city. And I'm not sure, was I always going to fall in love because it was the place at DC that the West Wing was set? I don't know. There's something about the city that I really love. I mean, it's beautiful. With the first time I came, we drove around at night and the monuments were all lit up, and it's beautiful. It looks like a film set. And I was at that point, obviously I'm still a huge fan of the West Wing, but in the early days I was almost drunk on my love of it. So it was like, wow, I'm right here. Josh Lyman could walk through those gates any moment. So it just kind of on a visceral level just kind of enchanted me, I think. And then I just fell in love with the place and I wanted to come and live here. And I also wanted to get involved in politics. That has all turned out to be much more complicated because actually, obviously, current climate aside, there's also stuff because I'm not American that I can't get involved in. And but I interned in Congress for a while, which was totally fun, totally legal, and did various other political things. So that was fun. I don't know if that answers your question, but
yeah, definitely. And so, we talked a little bit about it, but there's been some newer shows about politics, there's like House of Cards and things like that. But, with the accessibility right now of everything on the internet, you can probably just find the West Wing on their internet, all of them, which compared to you finding the disc in somebody else's laptop, like that's totally monumentally different.
Yeah.
And how do you think, that affects the West Wing as a show, and why would somebody want to pick that up over, let's say, like a House of Cards or something else that's sort of political still, maybe in the same realm, maybe even better, or maybe even worse? There's a lot of political stuff out there, but what kind of sets this apart? We talked about the relationships and things like that, but you can say that about any show. But like, why
the West Wing?
In the holes of the internet, everything that's out there, which you can access right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's the $64,000 question, and I've thought about this and written about this and talked about this, and I still, they used to talk about Coca-Cola had this ingredient called 7X or something. That's like this secret thing that no one knows about. Like, who knows what it actually was? I'm not going to speculate. But it's like, it's kind of like that. There's like something that, because I can explain all the different things that make it special, but still all those elements put together are like, it adds up to something greater than the sum of its parts, I think. But as I mentioned, the writing, just the rhythm and the cadence of the dialogue is amazing. I love the fact that it's very serious and substantial, but in every episode in the Sorkin era, which that's a whole other conversation, but
Yeah.
Sorkin era West Wing, every episode has some levity and some fun in it as well. So there's one episode in, I think it's season 1. I know it's season 1. I don't know what I'm pretending.
You're among friends.
Yeah.
Where there's a really serious plot line. The president is deciding whether to pardon somebody who's on death row. And it's really heavy, and he's like talking to a priest and all these kind of people. And then at the same time, Josh Lyman is lying hungover in his office, lying on the floor, and he gets introduced to somebody who he thinks is going to be a guy, turns out to be a woman who has a male deaf interpreter. And so he's like, what is happening? And he's like spitting coffee out of his mouth and all kinds of stuff. And that's sort of the B plot or the C plot of this episode, which is so substantial and serious as well. So I think that's something that sets it apart from a lot of shows, just this kind of the juxtaposition of substance and comedy as well.
So now, a little while ago, you had mentioned fan fiction. Now, you have written fan fiction for West Wing, or do you just read the fan fiction?
I don't read or write it that much anymore. I dived down the hole a little bit when I finished it the first time and sort of felt bereft. And then I wrote a little, and then it was at the same time that I was writing in general. That I was starting to write in general. So often if I was doing a writing exercise, instead of making up my own characters, I would just like use some West Wing characters, and then I would stick that online somewhere. I don't read or write it that much anymore. But
so I've always been fascinated by good fan fiction, because I love the idea that those characters that you love are continuing on without the show, but that you can imagine how they would react in different situations now. And I know that there are Twitter accounts for some of these characters from West Wing that sort of react to the climate now. But I also have this thing where I imagine that every actor is playing the same character in everything they're in, which just makes the story so much better. Because some of my favorite shows cross over. Like I've perfected using IMDb's common search. So I know that there are 34 actors that are in West Wing that are also in Stargate SG-1. And
wow.
things like that. And most of them for just an episode or two of West Wing. But at the same time, it's so fun to me to see that, like, Tobin Bell, who played Jigsaw, was a colonel in one of the episodes of West Wing. He was in one of the episodes of Stargate. But I imagine that's the same character, just progressing through. So, like, he worked in the White House. He then became an alien or exposed as an alien, and now he's murdering people for fun. So it's such a cool progression to watch.
Kevin's a special one.
Like Eric Gordon from Billy Madison. He didn't get the hotel company that he wanted. He went to politics instead. Are you a fan of Billy Madison, given that you like Bradley Whitford?
I think fan would be a strong word. I've watched it.
She's aware of.
She's aware of it.
That's the kind of show that you watch and you say, okay, 1994, this is what Americans were like. I mean, that's case in point. But no, seriously, as far as, if you're a fan of the writing, especially, obviously you must be a big fan of Sorkin, and he's had an interesting career arc where he did several big pictures to start with, kind of went back into TV before that was really the popular thing to do. Bookended West Wing with 2 shows that didn't maybe last as long as they could have, but then he got into doing movies again. Have you seen Molly's Game?
I have, yes.
What did you think?
I really liked it. Surprise, surprise. I mean, I'm very loyal, so I was like,
not a shock.
You guys have seen it, I take it, or
not yet? Haven't had the opportunity.
So
you're doing the Molly's Game review for our podcast.
Okay.
Wow,
I did not prepare for that. I will say there's an opening scene, or what, I don't know if it's the opening scene, but near the beginning where she's skiing and something happens, and watching the Winter Olympics with that in mind was a little scary. But I have to dig into thinking about it. I actually really my friend saw it with me, and she and I had bit of an argument. We're still friends and everything. It's fine. But she thought that Molly came across as really unsympathetic. And I thought the opposite. I thought that the way that he had portrayed her and her choices and her past and her family background and everything actually made her deeply sympathetic, even though she's not someone that normally I would have sympathy for. Which I think is something that Aaron Sorkin does incredibly well, the background and the just giving you a reason to root for somebody. I'm sure you've seen Sorkinism supercut type videos and things like that, where, you know, people make fun of the fact that he uses the same tropes over and over and the same phrases over and over. I was quite shocked how few repeated phrases there were in that movie. I was kind of on the lookout for, you know, not for nothing and things like that. And I didn't really pick up on any, but there were definitely some Sorkin tropes. So he, you know, the idea of a dad who's failed his family is like in everything I've ever seen.
Sure.
But definitely in West Wing, definitely in Sports Night. And that features, you know, in Molly's Game as well. And it worked for me, but I can see that you'd be like, oh, here we go, Sorkin is doing the dad thing again. Then again, that's a true story. It's not like he made it up from nowhere.
Sure.
So
a
I don't
lot
know
of
whether
great
any of this
writers and directors have their go-tos, you know, and it's part of what gives them their style.
Michael Bay has their explosions.
Yeah, exactly. Boom, giant explosions. Do you think his style translates better to the big screen or the small screen? Do you prefer his work in television, or do you think, you know, it's as enjoyable as a film, a 2-hour, you know, condensed thing?
I mean, I really like his films. I really like The Social Network, and the Steve Jobs. Was that just called Steve Jobs? I think that's what it was. Yeah. I prefer the TV shows because, well, I guess those 3 examples of movies are biopics essentially, and that's a whole different thing from fiction for a start. But I just love the characters he creates, and I love to get to know them and spend time with them. And obviously in a movie it's 2 hours, but if you have a TV show, it can go on for years. So I think that
Sure.
I would definitely, if you ask me, would you rather have 10 Aaron Sorkin movies, or would you rather have, well, I guess it would depend. Would you rather have
Let's not say The West Wing, but let's say Studio 60.
Oh yeah, in a heartbeat.
5 seasons. Okay.
Yes, in a heartbeat, I would take as many seasons as I could get of Studio 60 over his movies. Not that I don't love his movies, but yeah, Studio 60 in particular, I really liked. Sports Night too, actually, but we'd have to recast some of the roles because, you know, some actors need to recur.
So you were saying how loyal you were to actually like the actors and, you know, Sorkin and all that. What lengths have you gone to go and, you know, you actually met some of these people, and why don't you share some of those stories or anything like that?
Yeah, I don't know what you could possibly be referring to, but I will think about it. At this point, I've met basically everyone from the credits who's still alive. I think it would be fair to say. Probably messing something up, but
they're going to be so many.
So starting when I still lived in Europe, I would Richard Schiff came over to be in a play, Stockard Channing came over to be in a play, a couple of other people came over, so I met them, and because they were my first West Wing real people, I was just in awe and so excited, and just, you know, my 30-second grip and grin was like enough to keep me floating for weeks. But we need bigger and stronger highs all the time, so that was not enough. So then I moved to DC, and I got more of an opportunity to meet and get to know people. I'm just warming up to the main event here, but I had Josh Malina probably in I don't remember what year it was, maybe in 2013. It was a reward on some Kickstarter. Honestly, I'm not even that bothered what Kickstarter it was. I was like, wow, he was on the West Wing and I can have coffee with him. This is amazing. Yeah. And it was really fun. And we had been Twitter buddies for a while. We were both on Twitter sort of before everybody was on Twitter. And we sort of got to know each other a bit. And so, you know, in as much as you can get to know someone semi-famous on Twitter. So that was kind of very exciting. But then the next summer I got to have lunch with Bradley Whitford, which was amazing. So yeah, sorry, Josh Molina, but you've lost this battle.
That's awesome. I mean, it's always like super cool whenever you actually see somebody. I mean, for me, it's like bands or you know, musicians or something like that. Whenever it's just like, you're a real person. I'm seeing you with my own eyes, and you're in front of me, and this is like wild. And I know a lot of the listeners really, you know, go to like Comic Cons and things like that, and they meet these, you know, they're heroes and these people that they've grown to love, and it's really a fantastic experience. And you've met like all of them.
Basically, yeah.
It's really cool.
I mean, it was always scary. It was always scary because what if these people turn out to not be what you want them to be and what you've projected onto them?
Sure.
But almost without exception, it has been amazing. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
So tell us about the Bradley Whitford meeting, though. I mean, we built up to the main event, and it was like, oh, I'm I kind of had dinner with him, but no, like that's a huge thing. That would be like, I don't know, me having dinner with Larry Bird, or there's a million things I can think of. Like I would go bananas. So, yeah, what was that like?
Well, it was pretty great. We had lunch in Pasadena, and it was supposed to be for an hour, and it was for 2.
Whoa.
And yeah, I started it off by basically saying, like, I can't believe that I'm here with you, because it almost was like I might as well just put out on the table that this is weird and that I'm excited and that I'm nervous, because trying to be normal is not going to work. But actually, once I'd said that, it was much easier to be normal, I think. And yeah, he started off doing... He has the same stories he likes to tell, and he reuses the same jokes like all the time. You could make a bingo card with some of his jokes. And so for the first part of it, I think that he was doing a lot of kind of performative storytelling, you know, but in a conversational way, not in an annoying way. But then it kind of, as we went on and relaxed a bit, we like talked about real stuff and talked about politics and Aaron Sorkin and TV, and he writes as well, so we talked about writing, we talked about books, we talked about family, we talked about all kinds of things. I was connecting with a real human being and not with this picture of this ideal person on a screen. And he's so smart and articulate and funny, and I make fun of him saying the same jokes all the time, but they're good jokes, which I guess is why he repeats them. So yeah, it was pretty great. He had just had his hair shaved it was before he filmed Transparent, so he didn't look like Josh Lyman as much. But that was basically the only disappointment of the whole night.
That might be for the better, though. You know, you didn't have to go quite as nuts. It was maybe for the better.
So is there anything that's out right now that sort of scratches that West Wing itch? You know, is there anything that you're currently into, either like TV, movie, music, you know, any media that's sort of like up there with you, or is this just kind of like, this is its own thing and then I can watch other stuff? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's its own thing, and I'll be shocked if there's ever another thing like it in my life, which is probably just as well, because I can't keep like moving countries and changing my job and all this kind of thing. I don't know. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility that some other amazing TV show or like you said, other media will come along. I think that a movie would be difficult for a movie to have the same impact because of the whole, you only have them for 2 hours and then you're done. And with the West Wing, you live with it for however long you live with it. I am really into books and reading. So that is currently my thing, but it's not one particular book, it's books in general. So that's like saying you're into TV in general, which is completely different from saying that you're into this one particular show. So I don't know. I think that the West Wing is its own thing. Yeah.
Awesome. So why don't you talk about something that you're doing really cool with the West Wing, some of the things that you're coming up with, some really, you know, awesome stuff for big fans, you know? What you got going on?
I think you're referring to the West Wing weekend.
Yeah.
which is going to be a weekend in, I can never say this without sounding very British, Maryland, whatever. So just
that
outside
place right next door, to DC.
Yeah. Exactly. I should have just said just outside DC. It's the last weekend of September, and it is going to be a weekend of basically epic Geek Fest events.
Awesome.
So there's going to be all kinds of things, from butter carving competitions to reading the Constitution out loud to academic presentations about gender in Aaron Sorkin's work to panel discussions about fandom. So it's going to be mostly run and organized and put on by fans and by the team behind the event. And we're hoping to have special guests, but the success of the event isn't dependent on that.
Sure. And this is the first time this is happening, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've been thinking for years, why has nobody done this?
Yeah.
And then somebody and they contacted me and were like, do you want to get involved? I was like, yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool.
So,
I mean,
this is the first convention. Obviously, you've made connections over the years to make this happen. So, I mean, one of the things that I thought was interesting about having you on is that you're kind of the ultimate example of being part of a fandom. So, what does that mean to you outside of just the show and it bringing you over to the US, but being part of a giant fandom? What has that meant to your life?
Well, it's brought me a lot of new friends and like-minded friends. In particular, I have a really good friend, shout out to Rebecca if you're listening, who lives in New York, and we bumped into each other, I think, on some Facebook page or something. I don't really remember, but we ended up becoming really good friends, and she's Jewish and I'm Christian, and we would have these long conversations about, every aspect of that. And she's very political. So we talked a lot about politics, and she taught me a lot of, when I was in the early days when I was very confused about American politics, she helped me figure stuff out. And she's I would say one of my closest friends now. So, and she's the biggest example, but I have lots of other friends that I've made through the fandom, which is kind of amazing. And the thing with the West Wing, I think, is that because it's such a substantial show and in some ways quite issues driven, the people that you tend to meet tend to have similar values to you, at least, if not a similar worldview. So, and you can have really substantial conversations about stuff that really matters, like faith and religion and gender and whatever, because you're all coming from the same place of loving this thing that's really substantial. So that's really cool.
Yeah, which is really interesting because you can't say that for all of the fandoms ever. You know what I mean? Some of them are really shallow. It's like, I like when this person killed that person and this character is a badass and that's it. But with the West Wing, you're able to tap into a deeper conversation, a deeper friendship, which is really pretty awesome,
Yeah, and then I think for a lot of people, the West Wing literally has changed their lives. It's the reason they're doing the job they're doing or whatever. And so obviously it's changed my life. So to connect with other people that's happened for, A, makes me feel less crazy, but also B, it's just a really, really nice thing. I am a pretty obsessive listener to the West Wing Weekly podcast, although my same friend Rebecca texts me to tell me if it's safe to listen to every week, because I don't love it when they get too critical, so she basically has to tell me don't listen to this part, you'll get annoyed. But which is doubly lovely of her, because she doesn't really get it. She thinks that, as most people think, that you should be able to criticize the thing that you love. I understand that logic, but I'm not capable of it.
Sure.
In this case, I'm not capable of it. So so that's, and then I also meant to say that you might be coming onto this anyway, but I edited a book a while back by people, with quotes from people and essays from people for whom the West Wing has been important. So that was also so much fun to put together and so interesting. And I connected with a lot of people from that. And actually that's how I ended up getting involved in the weekend as well. Some of the people who wrote in the book are involved in the weekend. And so it all comes together.
Yeah, I was able to flip through that. That was absolutely fascinating. So thank you. We're going to link to that Amazon page for that, or wherever you would prefer for us to link to.
Great.
Sure.
So.
And where can people find you on the internet, and plug anything you want to plug, and we'll do that as well.
I'm Purple Claire, as in the color Purple Claire, on Twitter, and pretty much everywhere on the internet under different names, which is not at all great branding wise. But if you start with Purple Claire on Twitter, you'll probably find my other stuff. So yeah, and the West Wing Weekend is West Wing Weekend on Instagram and everything.
westwingweekend.com, right?
And yes, yeah, for buying tickets
Fantastic.
and everything, westwingweekend.com.
Say Twitter again.
Twitter.
I think that Twitter was meant to be said by British people. That's just my personal opinion. That's just how I feel. That's my truth.
Well,
that's your truth. Yeah,
you hang on to that.
But yeah, I think we're good, and thank you so much, Claire, for joining us and enlightening us about why we should go watch West Wing if we haven't gone and watched it already, and telling us about your story and telling us about everything West Wing that we could think of. And thank you so much.
Thank you. This was great.
Perfect. Thanks, Claire.
Huge thanks to Claire. That was really awesome. A super fun interview. And go check her out on all her stuff. We're going to put links to that in the description of this podcast and on our social media, so you can get her book. You can find out about what I keep wanting to say, Westworld, West Wing.
West Wing World.
West Wing, all that stuff. West Wing Weekend. We'll put links to all that on our social media and in the description of this podcast. So go check her out. Don't forget, you can reach us on most social media at NerdyThingsPod. That's NerdyThingsPod. You can send us an email at nerdythingspod@gmail.com. You can visit our website, nerdythingspod.com, for the latest nerdy news, updated daily, and links to our merch for shirts and more. Links to YouTube to watch the podcast episodes, because we do these live and we do these in video. Our Patreon for extra content like bloopers and early access to our stuff. And you can text us or leave us a voicemail at 978-78-NERDY, 978-786-3739. And we want some voicemails. Tell us about a fandom that you're super in love with. Tell us about anything that you're excited for. Tell us about Vero. Tell us about how you thought plants were not family members. Please, hope that's not just me. Anything you liked about Black Panther, all that stuff, call us and we'll play the voicemails on the show. I'd like to thank Adipsia for the use of his song, Friends Don't Let Friends Go to TGI Friday, so you can hear more of his music at adipsia.bandcamp.com. He just released a new album called Imbue. Imbue! All right.
And I'd like to thank the Bell Curve for the music of the main topic.
All right. See y'all next week.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Later.